Ever notice how the most powerful person in any room is often the quietest? While everyone else is scrambling to be heard, fighting for attention, desperate to prove their point, they sit there in silence, watching, waiting, and somehow, when they finally speak, everyone stops to listen. What do they know that you don't? I am about to tell you something that contradicts everything society has taught you about communication. The reason you are losing arguments, getting ignored, and failing to command respect isn't because you are not speaking up enough. It is because you are speaking too much, and every unnecessary word is draining your power. Think about the last argument you lost. The last time someone dismissed your opinion, the last time you failed to get the respect you deserved. I am willing to bet you talked more than you should have, explained when you should have stayed quiet, defended when you should have let silence do the defending for you. Here is the brutal truth that powerful people understand. Words are common. Everyone has them. Everyone uses them. Everyone throws them around like they're free. But silence is rare. Silence is unnerving. Silence is a weapon that most people are too weak to wield. Machiavelli discovered this 500 years ago when he observed that rulers who spoke less commanded more, that the appearance of knowing more than you reveal creates power that endless explanation destroys. That silence, strategically deployed, is more devastating than any words could ever be. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to weaponize your silence, how to make people hang on the words you don't say, how to win arguments without speaking, and how to become so powerful in your quiet that others will fear your silence more than anyone else's shouting. Are you ready to discover why less truly is more? Drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence speaks. Number 1. Why talking too much destroys your power. Here is something nobody wants to admit. Every word you speak is a potential weakness exposed. Every sentence is information given away. Every explanation is power transferred from you to whoever's listening. Think about it like poker. The more you talk, the more tells you give. The more you explain, the more your opponents learn about how you think. The more you defend, the more weaknesses you reveal need defending. Silence keeps your cards hidden. Speaking shows your hand. Robert Greene wrote, "The more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control." This isn't about being mysterious for its own sake. It is about understanding that scarcity creates value. Rare things are precious. Common things are ignored. Your words work the same way. Watch what happens when someone talks too much in any setting. People's eyes glaze over. Attention wanders. Respect diminishes with every additional sentence. The speaker feels they're making their point stronger, but they're actually diluting it with every word. Now watch what happens when someone speaks rarely. Every word carries weight. People lean in. Attention sharpens. A single sentence from a quiet person has more impact than paragraphs from someone who never stops talking. Machiavelli observed, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." When you speak constantly, people see everything. When you maintain silence, they see only what you choose to reveal. And what remains hidden always seems more powerful than what is exposed. Here is the psychological mechanism. When you talk, you are giving. When you are silent, you are withholding. Giving feels generous but creates obligation in you. Withholding feels selfish but creates curiosity in them. And curiosity is the foundation of power dynamics. The person who speaks less controls more because they make others do the work. Others fill the silence. Others reveal themselves trying to get a reaction. Others give away their positions while you've protected yours. Completely drop this affirmation in the comments. Less words, more power. Number 2. The psychology of uncomfortable silence. Here is where it gets dark. Silence isn't just absence of speech. It is a psychological weapon that most people cannot withstand. Understanding why silence makes others uncomfortable gives you power over almost everyone. Human beings are wired to fill silence. We evolved in tribes where silence often meant danger. Someone not talking might be angry, might be planning something, might be a threat. This primal programming makes silence deeply uncomfortable for most people. When you stay silent, others' primitive brains start firing alarm signals. They don't consciously think they're in danger, but unconsciously, they feel compelled to fill the void, to make the discomfort stop, to get you to respond so they can relax. This means that in any interaction, the person most comfortable with silence holds the power. While others scramble to fill the quiet, you remain centered. While they reveal themselves trying to provoke response, you gather information. While they spend energy, you conserve it. Sun Tzu wrote, "All warfare is based on deception. When able, appear unable. When active, appear inactive. Silence is the ultimate deception. It appears passive but is actively creating pressure. It appears weak but is demonstrating strength. It appears empty but is full of strategic purpose." Here is a technique the powerful use. When someone says something that demands response, wait 3 full seconds before reacting at all. Those 3 seconds feel like eternity to them. They'll often keep talking, revealing more, backpedaling, or weakening their own position. You've done nothing but wait, and you've already gained advantage. The silence after an attack is particularly devastating. When someone insults you or challenges you and you respond with nothing but calm eye contact, their attack hangs in the air, unanswered. They expected resistance and got void. They prepared for your defense, and you gave them nothing to push against. Machiavelli understood this when he wrote, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception." Silence deceives aggressors into thinking they haven't landed their blow. It makes them question whether their attack was strong enough. It forces them to escalate or retreat, both of which reveal their insecurity. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Silence is my weapon. Number 3. How to win arguments without speaking. Here is something that is going to transform every conflict you have from now on. You don't need to argue anyone. You need to silence them. The person who stays quiet longest usually wins. When someone argues with you, they want engagement. They've prepared their points. They're ready for your counter-arguments. They've anticipated your defenses. What they haven't prepared for is your complete refusal to play their game. Stay silent during an argument and watch what happens. First, they repeat themselves, thinking you didn't hear. Then they elaborate, assuming you didn't understand. Then they start to doubt themselves, wondering if they're wrong. Then they begin offering concessions you never asked for, all while you've said nothing. This works because of a fundamental truth about human psychology. People can't stand uncertainty about whether they've been understood. Your silence creates doubt about whether your message landed. To resolve that doubt, they keep talking, often destroying their own position in the process. Robert Greene observed, "The truth is often avoided because it is ugly and unpleasant. Never appeal to truth and reality, unless you are prepared for the anger that comes from disenchantment." In arguments, silence forces others to confront the weakness of their own position without you having to point it out. They disenchant themselves. Here is the advanced technique. When someone makes an accusation or criticism, respond with a single question, then go silent. What makes you say that? Then stop, complete silence. They now have to justify their attack while you simply wait. Most people can't do this without revealing the weakness of their position or backing down entirely. The silent treatment in arguments also preserves your dignity. When you argue back, you descend to their level. When you defend yourself, you validate their attack as worth defending against. But when you stay silent, you remain above the fray, untouched, unaffected, superior. Here is another devastating technique. When someone finishes their argument and waits for your response, simply nod slowly as if processing something profound. Say nothing. Let them wonder what you are thinking. Let them question whether they've convinced you or revealed something about themselves. Then change the subject entirely as if their entire argument wasn't worth addressing. This technique is brutal because it communicates without words that their argument didn't even merit engagement. Not disagreement, not rebuttal, just complete silent dismissal. Most people would rather be argued with than ignored. Your silence tells them they don't matter enough to argue with. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves." Silence is the fox's strategy. It recognizes that arguments are traps designed to make you reveal weakness through defense. Refuse to enter the trap. Stay silent. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I win by not playing. Number 4. The art of strategic response. Now let's talk about when you do speak. Because powerful silence isn't about never talking. It is about making every word count by surrounding it with strategic quiet. The formula is simple. Long silences plus short statements equals maximum impact. Where most people use 50 words to make a point, you use 5. Where most people explain and justify, you state and stop. Where most people fill every gap, you let your words breathe. Think about the most memorable lines you've ever heard. They're almost always short. I'll be back. The truth is out there. Winter is coming. Brevity creates memorability. Excess creates forgettability. Your words should be like these, brief, weighty, and surrounded by silence that amplifies their impact. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The Stoics understood that action and brief statement outperform endless explanation. Say what needs saying, then stop. Let your words settle. Let others absorb them. Let silence do the amplification work. Here is the practical application. Before speaking, ask yourself 3 questions. Does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said by me right now? If any answer is no, stay silent. This filter alone will transform how people perceive you. When you do speak, use the power of the pause. Say your point. Pause. Let it land. Resist the urge to keep elaborating. Most people ruin their best points by burying them in additional words. They don't trust their message enough to let it stand alone. Machiavelli advised rulers to speak in ways that could be interpreted multiple ways, maintaining flexibility while appearing to commit. Brevity enables this naturally. The fewer words you use, the more others read into them. The more space you leave, the more people fill it with interpretations that often exceed what you could have said directly. The strategic response also includes strategic questions. Instead of stating your position, ask questions that lead others to your conclusion themselves. People believe their own conclusions far more than yours. A well-placed question followed by silence lets them convince themselves. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My words carry weight. Number 5. Silence as emotional control. Here is where silence becomes truly powerful. Beyond communication strategy, silence is the ultimate tool for emotional self-mastery. The person who can be silent when provoked is the person who controls themselves completely. When someone provokes you and you react, they've controlled your emotional state. They pushed a button and got a response. You became their puppet for that moment. But when someone provokes you and you remain silent, you've demonstrated that your emotions are yours alone. This terrifies manipulators. Their entire strategy depends on predictable emotional reactions. Push this button, get this response. But when their buttons don't work, when you respond to attacks with nothing but calm silence, they lose all their power over you. Silence during emotional moments also protects you from yourself. How many times have you said something in anger that you regretted? How many times has emotional speech created problems that rational silence would have avoided? Silence is the pause between stimulus and response where wisdom lives. Robert Greene wrote, "Never seem to be in a hurry. Hurrying betrays a lack of control over yourself and over time. Reactive speech is hurried speech. It is losing control. Silence demonstrates that you are in no rush to respond, that you are processing, that you control the timeline, not your emotions. The practice of emotional silence starts small. When someone criticizes you, wait 5 seconds before responding. When someone angers you, wait 10. When someone tries to provoke immediate reaction, give yourself a full minute if needed. The pause is the power. Over time, this practice transforms you. You become known as unflappable, unshakable. The person who doesn't react to provocations, this reputation alone prevents many attacks, because people know their efforts will be wasted on you. Here is the deeper psychology. When you stay silent during provocation, you create a power vacuum. The attacker expected their words to fill you with emotion. Instead, there is nothing. They spoke into a void. This absence of reaction is psychologically disturbing for them. They need your response to complete their action. Without your reaction, their attack remains incomplete. Unfinished. They're left holding emotional energy with nowhere to discharge it. This often leads them to escalate, which makes them look unstable, or retreat, which shows weakness. Either way, your silence wins. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Your emotional silence creates a healthy fear, not fear of violence. Fear of facing someone whose self-control exceeds their ability to manipulate. Fear of being powerless against your composure. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I master my reactions. Number 6. Reading others through your silence. Here is an advanced application that few understand. When you are silent, others reveal themselves. Your quiet becomes a mirror that reflects their true nature back to you. When you stop talking and start observing, you see things talkers miss. You notice who interrupts. You see who postures. You observe who listens and who waits to speak. You watch alliance patterns, power dynamics, and hidden agendas, all invisible to those busy speaking. People also reveal themselves in how they handle your silence. Some become nervous and overshare. Some become aggressive, trying to provoke response. Some become intrigued and try to draw you out. Each reaction tells you exactly who you are dealing with. Sun Tzu wrote, "Know your enemy and know yourself, and you can fight 100 battles without disaster." Silence is how you know both. Your silence lets you observe enemies without distraction. Your comfort in that silence shows you know yourself deeply. Here is the technique. In any new situation, make your first move be silence. Before offering opinions, watch before revealing positions. Listen before committing to alliances. Observe. Let others show you who they are before you show them anything. The information advantage you gain through silence is massive. While others are busy performing, you are learning. While they're trying to impress, you are cataloging. While they're speaking, you are understanding. Your silence buys you intelligence that speech could never purchase. Machiavelli advised, "A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests." Silence allows you to keep your options open. You haven't committed to anything. You haven't revealed your position. You retain maximum flexibility, while others have locked themselves into declared positions. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence gathers wisdom. Number 7. Building the silent reputation. The ultimate goal isn't occasional silence. It is becoming known as someone whose silence is powerful. When this reputation precedes you, your power multiplies before you enter any room. Here is how the reputation builds. First, people notice you speak less than others. Then they notice your words carry more weight when you do speak. Then they notice how others react to your silence. Then they start anticipating what you might say. Finally, your silence itself becomes a statement. The silent reputation creates a feedback loop. Because you are known for meaningful silence, people pay more attention when you speak. Because they pay more attention, your words have more impact. Because your words have more impact, you need fewer of them. The loop reinforces itself. This reputation also protects you. People are less likely to attack someone known for powerful silence. They don't know what you are thinking. They can't predict your response. Uncertainty breeds caution, and your silence creates maximum uncertainty. Robert Greene noted, "Always say less than necessary. When you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control." The silent reputation is the reputation of control, of depth, of having more behind your words than you are showing. To build this reputation, you must be consistent. One conversation of powerful silence doesn't create reputation. Months of strategic quiet does. You are training people to expect less from your mouth and more from your mind. The silent reputation becomes self-fulfilling. Once people expect wisdom from your rare words, they find wisdom in them even when you are speaking simply. Once they expect power in your silence, they feel that power even when you are merely thinking. Perception becomes reality. Machiavelli wrote, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." Similarly, people estimate your intelligence by how you use your words. Those who spend them freely seem to have infinite supply of nothing valuable. Those who hoard them seem to have treasures worth protecting. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is my signature. Here is what happens when you master everything we've discussed. When talking less becomes your default. When silence becomes your weapon. When your words become rare and heavy. When your reputation for powerful quiet precedes you everywhere, everything changes. First, people start seeking your opinion specifically because you don't offer it freely. They want to know what the quiet one thinks. Your input becomes valuable precisely because it is scarce. You've inverted the normal dynamic where people have to fight to be heard. Second, your relationships deepen. Without constant chatter filling space, real connection becomes possible. People learn they can be comfortable in silence with you. They discover depths in quiet presence that endless talking obscures. Third, your own thinking clarifies. The noise of constant speech clutters the mind. When you speak less externally, you hear yourself more internally. Wisdom that was drowned in chatter rises to the surface. Fourth, you become impossible to argue with. People can't fight silence. They can't defeat someone who won't engage. Your quiet becomes an impenetrable defense that frustrates every attack and exhausts every aggressor. Marcus Aurelius concluded, "The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." The insane are constantly talking, constantly explaining, constantly justifying. Escape their ranks. Join the silent powerful. If you've made it this far, you understand something most people never will. That power isn't in the most words spoken. That strength isn't in the loudest voice. That winning isn't in the best argument. It is in the discipline to remain silent when silence serves you better than speech ever could. The world is full of noise. Everyone talking, everyone explaining, everyone desperately trying to be heard above the chaos. But you now have a different path. A quieter path. A more powerful path. The path of strategic silence. If this video showed you how to make your silence more powerful than their words, smash that like button. If you know someone who talks too much and gets too little respect, share this with them. And if you want more content that gives you weapons others don't have, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now drop this final affirmation in the comments. I speak only when silence cannot. Remember, in a world where everyone is screaming to be heard, the one who stays silent holds all the attention. Be that person. Master the weapon of silence and watch how everything changes when people finally realize you're quiet is more dangerous than their noise. Because here is the final truth that talkers will never understand. Every word they speak is energy expelled, but every word you don't speak is energy conserved. And in any extended engagement, the person with more energy remaining wins. Your silence isn't weakness. It is reserve power waiting to be deployed when it matters most. The greatest leaders in history understood this. They spoke rarely but decisively. They conserved their words like precious ammunition. They knew that true power isn't in the noise you make. It is in the weight of your silence and the precision of the few words you choose to break it with. Now you have the same knowledge. Use it wisely, use it sparingly, and watch as your silence becomes more powerful than anything they could ever say. Starting today, say less. Watch more. Let others fill the void with their insecurities, while you observe from your fortress of quiet. Your silence is no longer absence. It is presence. It is power. It is the weapon they never saw coming,